I like the red sequin disco one, Leaf.
I don't think I have a sequin disco one.
You just did.
Yeah, but I was trying to find something that would not cut off parts of my body.
Without a proper chroma key, man, that's never going to happen no matter what background you're using.
The one you had just a second ago would be really swell if you were like Cher.
Yep.
I just thought of when, just with the whole green screen thing, how like some news places, they have a blue screen instead of a green screen, and my kite school class visited their studio, and of course you end up with like parts of yourself missing. And then a bit of fun on it. I mean, it was just so funny.
It's the prelude to an existential crisis when some of you starts to disappear.
My favorite is when famous people wear green outfits, like the Queen of England had that entirely green outfit.
Oh, yeah.
The internet had a field day with that.
Oh, yeah. Didn't they like put the Avengers movie on top of it or something? Then again, they did a lot more than that.
They did enough that anything you could probably think of, yeah, they probably did that. My favorite is just her wearing an Iron Maiden t-shirt.
Got one of your guests down there, Jason?
Julie.
Yes, I know it says Brian Pratt because my child uses my iPad all the time. And I know it's dark because I'm sitting in my car outside the rink.
Well enough.
Welcome, Julie. I'm glad that you were able to make it.
I'm glad to be here.
Everybody, some of you may recognize Julie Bryan.
And not Brian Pratt.
And not Brian Pratt.
Glad you're here.
Bradley.
Good evening, Renee. It's good to not. Oh, it is good to see you. I was about to say it's good to not see you because your camera wasn't on.
But now it is.
Now I can hear. Hello, everybody.
Oh. I'll go mute myself. Apologies for the dog barking.
Yes, welcome, doggo.
Julie, what are you doing?
I'm sitting in my car outside the rink because that's what hockey mamas do.
I am so excited to see you. Long time.
Too long. The world
Well,
is crazy.
being the lowest ranking officer here, I'd like to call this meeting to order as it is 7:15. So if those that would join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now I will turn it over to our president, Jason.
Very good evening to everybody and welcome to the September 29th, 2020 meeting of All Rounders Toastmasters. I would like to start with welcoming our guests. First of all, welcoming Renee Simmerman from Motor Mouths. Welcome, Renee. Reggie, I see, is coming online now. A very good evening to Reggie. And finally,
Hi, Reg.
a face that hasn't been seen in TM for a little bit, but is always welcome back, Julie Bryan, not Brian Pratt, but Julie Bryan is joining us tonight. Thank you very much, all of you, for being here tonight. Have we any past business to discuss? Have we any future business to discuss, and we will discuss dues here in a moment. But aside from that, have we any future business? David Townley, can you give us a report on where our membership dues are?
Hey, would you give me my wallet, please?
Well, I would like to know where they are too, but I need more. But
No, it's gonna pay my dues.
we have yet to reach the magic number of 8, which is the critical factor.
That's the problem.
This being the last 3 days to get that end on time, we will need everybody that hasn't paid to get with it in the next day and a half. And that's where we stand.
David, mine never came back. Does that mean you got it?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm waiting for them to give me the entries so that I can do the second half. I got the first half paid. I haven't done the entire year yet.
And since David Townley already has the floor, he is also our Toastmaster tonight. So take it away, David Townley.
Thank you, Jason. I have a lot of helpers this evening. As everybody knows, we'll start with Bradley telling us what the general evaluator is responsible for.
David, I will be handling the third phase of the meeting, evaluations. I will see that each evaluator for our speakers gets the floor for his or her 2 or 3 minutes to evaluate each respective speech. I'll invite the grammarian to speak, and then I'll wind up with my own incessant prattle about the quality of the meeting before dispensing some exciting awards. And that'll be my piece of the meeting. Dave?
Thank you, Bradley. Next, like to hear from Leaf as the grammarian with what he plans to do this evening.
Good evening. As grammarian, it is my role to make note of any incorrect grammar used by the speakers, and I will be giving a report also, pardon me, also to listen for usages of the word of the day. And I shall give my report on that at near the end of the meeting.
And what is the word of the day?
The word of the day today is limn. L-I-M-N. It is a verb to represent in drawing or painting, to portray in words, describe. In a sentence, the painter is known to limn pictures of his adventures on oil canvases. And it is from, the root word is from illuminate, actually, from Middle English.
Thank you, Leaf. Our timer and vote counter, it's going to be David Hall. What does the timer do, Dave?
So my job is to help keep everyone within time. Tonight we've got a speech that's going to be longer than normal. We'll go 18 to 22 minutes. For our table topics, we will go 1 to 2 minutes using red, yellow, and green lights. And then for our evaluations, we'll go 2 to 3 minutes using the same colors. So I will be showing that through my phone. So I will have different colors popping up on the phone so you'll know what to look for. And then at the end, we'll make sure we get all the votes counted for the various awards.
Thank you, Dave. Finally, Leah, tell us a little bit about table topics.
The table topic master's job is to make sure everyone has a chance to speak. So if you're not doing a prepared speech or an evaluation, you will still have an opportunity to express yourself, to present your opinion on something. And so anyone who is not doing a speaking role or evaluating anything should be wary of the incoming table topics theme you will be presented with. Be very afraid. Thank you.
Thank you, Leah. Jason will be our speaker this evening, and evaluating him is going to be Leah Eisenberg. Leah, you're on again for what you will be looking for.
Okay. Jason will be working on first speech of level 5 of engaging humor. The speech which will be deliver your message with humor. Purpose of this project is remember to practice developing and presenting a longer humorous speech. The things I'll be specifically looking for are, click the wrong window. I'll be looking for is his pace, his crescendo, discrescendo, I don't even know if that's a word of the speech, and not just volume, tone, but speed. I'll be also looking for the general things such as eye contact, vocal variety, movements, those sort of things. I believe the timer already was given the time for his speech, correct? Okay, then I'll pass the meeting back over to our Toastmaster, Talon.
Thank you, Leah. Jason, as often mentioned, especially in this club, was born a baby, much like the rest of us. And we'll keep running that joke into the ground until it pops out of Australia. Tonight, he is proud to deliver a Magnum Opus of sorts. The first project of level 5 of the engaging humor path, as Leah mentioned. The job here is to deliver a keynote length speech of, as we've mentioned, 18 to 22 minutes. So without further ado, here is Toastmaster Smith to deliver his apologies to Tom Papa in a speech called With Apologies to Tom Papa. Jason?
My fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, also unhonored guests, dishonored guests, vagrants, vagabonds, drifters, floaters, strollers, wanderers, itinerants, transients, rolling stones, and women named Steve. Tonight I intend to verbally limn for you a true story. I went to Europe when I was 15. I had alcohol in excess for the first time when I was 15. These two things are related. My last name is Domignoni, or as we say in America, Smith. 5 of my 8 great-grandparents came from Italy. 4 of those went through Ellis Island. My Italian heritage was a focal point of my upbringing, even though we ate Chef Boyardee at times. Have you ever had such an ethnically stereotypical family that they pay for a trip so you can see your mother country? I have. The opportunity arose between my sophomore and junior year of high school for me to go on a 2-week trip to London, Paris, and most of Italy. My grandparents, wanting me to see my homeland, which before this I was almost certain was America, gladly funded this excursion. 4 students from Memphis, along with our chaperone, my Latin teacher, A very uptight 60-year-old woman with a voice like a rusty door hinge were combined with a group of high school students from Oklahoma, their chaperone, and a random group of folks from Indiana. Have you ever met your twin? Someone that speaks in your cadence, finishes your sentences, and reaches the same conclusions the same way that you do? I have. I met him on this trip. His name is Tim. He had the same starter guitar I did, a 1992 Fender Squier Strat with a black body, white pickguard, and all maple neck. He had the same fashion sense as I did from 1995. Doc Martens, Lucky Dungarees, Stussy shirts. The collection of CDs that he'd brought overseas was exactly like mine. Remembering, of course, that this is the 1990s when people actually carried CDs. We both have birth dates in September 1980. It was almost like looking in a mirror. It's crazy. The twist on this is that Tim is black. Have you ever set up a mental image that got turned on its head? I have. Best part of this is that none of the rest of this story relies on the fact Tim's black. But in today's age, ask yourself what was in your head before I said that. It's our second and last night in Paris. We've all just cruised down the River Seine, and while Tim is all but careless, I'm all distressed and depressed because there's a girl on my mind who's a quarter of the world away. Have you ever been so in love you forget you're in Paris? I have. We get back to the tiny, rundown outskirts hotel at 10 till midnight, and midnight is curfew. Tim motions for me to hang back as members of the group take the lift up, 5 at a time. As the crowd dwindles and curfew approaches, Tim says, "You want to get a drink?" Remember, we're 15, but the rules were different in Europe at the time. The terms of the tour were if our parents agreed, a teen on tour could have one, 2, wine or beer, no hard liquor. 3, at a meal. 4, in the presence of a chaperone. My parents did not sign that form. The penalty for getting caught breaking any one of these rules was being put on the next flight home at your own, meaning your parents', expense. Have you ever broken all the rules without considering the consequence? I have. Tim says, "You want to get a drink?" I give only the slightest hesitation. "Yes, I do." We sneak around to the tiny rundown bar in this tiny rundown outskirts hotel. Tim says, "You want a screwdriver?" I have no idea what this is. "Yes, I do." He goes to the bar where the barkeep pours 3 fingers of a clear liquid into each of 2 tall glasses and gives Tim 2 small bottles of orange juice. Tim comes back over and senses my confusion rightly. "This is a screwdriver. It's vodka and orange juice." He pours the OJ into the glasses and hands one to me. I start to drink, and aside from a slight astringency, it tastes like orange juice. I drink the entire thing rather quickly. "By the way," he said, "I need 40 francs. This is per euro, and that's like $8.50. Jeez, really?" "Yeah, really. but it's the orange juice that's the expensive part. Okay, F the OJ, I thought. I walked to the bar with an empty glass. Have you ever been underage and approached a bar after midnight in a foreign country where you don't speak the language? I have. Un vodka, s'il vous plaît. And with a wry smile, he says only, Dotze. I pay my 12 francs, about $2.50. He proceeds to again pour a double plus shot of vodka, and in a move that I didn't understand at the time for the insult that it was, put a single cube of ice with the snottiest smirk I can conjure. If you're not familiar, ice isn't really a thing in Europe. It is seen as an unnecessary, energy-wasting, and very American conceit. We were so obviously American, we might as well had the stars and stripes tattooed on our foreheads with boomboxes playing Springsteen and Sousa marches slung across our shoulders. It's 10 after midnight, and midnight was curfew. I turn around with a glass of vodka to see my chaperone appear around the corner like the angel of death. Jason, it's after midnight. You're supposed to be in bed. What are you doing? Have you ever had a moment of abject terror where you suddenly suspect your life is going to end just as soon as the plane lands back home in less than 24 hours? I have. Because of the way the room was laid out, she can't see Tim. But Tim has heard her rather unique voice. One glance at his face, and I saw his life flashing before my eyes. And in a moment I can only describe as immoral serendipity, the lie flows out effortlessly. Oh, Miss Tebby, I was just thirsty and the water from the tap in the room didn't taste very good, so I came down to get some. And with that, I, clang, slammed 2+ shots of vodka right in front of her. Have you ever felt a roiling, fiery volcano in your mouth, burning your tongue, searing the back of your throat, scorching your esophagus, and finally flaring in your belly, but been unable to show any reaction upon pain of figurative and possibly literal death? I have. In that moment, I believed I'd gotten away with it. In my adult years, I have to think that she knew and looked the other way. Whichever is true, she merely said, "Well, get to bed," and left me drenched in the adrenaline rush of good fortune. I turn to return my glass to the bar as she disappears to see Tim panting heavily. Dude, let's go to bed. Yeah, let's go to bed. We go. I press the button to take the next lift up, feeling increasingly triumphant about our successful teenage indiscretion in a foreign country where we don't speak the language. Have you ever had someone come along and screw it all up? All of your good fortune for being a complete dumbass in a foreign country where they don't speak the language? I have. Being the only guy from Memphis, I got paired with a guy from Oklahoma, and it wasn't Tim. I don't even remember this idiot's name, but when the elevator door opens, idiot is standing there. I locked the key in the room. My response to this was colorfully unrepeatable. This is well before electronic key cards were widely adopted, We've been issued a single metal key. The kind of key you actually stick it in the door and turn it to lock it, metal key. Still, to this day, I do not know how Idiot locked the room key inside the room, but he did. Now, Idiot has to go to argue with an overnight desk clerk who only speaks French. And not to pile on, but he looked, spoke, and acted like every stereotype of the dumpy, dopey, doughy, bowl-cutted, proud-to-be-dumb sadist who probably enjoyed burning ants with a magnifying glass and sticking firecrackers up cats' butts. Have you ever felt that murder might sometimes be justified? I have. Dude, I'm going to bed, Tim says as he disappears into his room. Now, bear in mind, from the first sip of the screwdriver to now, it's only been about 10, maybe 15 minutes. I've just had about 6 shots of vodka in rapid succession, and my liver is about to lose its virginity. I'm standing in the hallway without a clue what to do. From behind me, Jason, why are you not in your room? It's time for room check. It's Miss Tebby. Idiot locked us out of the room while I was getting water. He's taking care of it now. Only a small part of that's actually a lie. You need to get to bed. Yes, ma'am, as soon as I can, I promise you. And again, she leaves me. And I hear giggling down the hallway. As previously mentioned, I was the only guy of the 4 students that came from Memphis. The 3 girls that came with on the trip were all in marching band with me. And while none of us were really friends, we were all acquainted before the trip. Unlike the alcohol rule, which could have some flexibility with parental consent, boys in the girls' room or girls in the boys' room was strictly verboten. Same consequence though, get caught, next flight home, parents' expense, death upon arrival. Have you ever pressed your luck so hard you figured you were done only to beat the odds and then decide to press it again? I have. Hey, y'all? Jason? Yeah, Idiot locked us out of our room. He's trying to go get another key. The door opens, and I go in. I'm in a hotel in Paris with girls. I sit on the edge of the bed with the slightest bit of tingle in my fingertips. They're talking, and these 3 girls, I'd never really looked at them before, not really looked at them. But I start to realize, oh my goodness, they're all really pretty. They all look gorgeous. They all do. Do you remember your first time being drunk? I mean, actually really drunk? I do, surprisingly. I stood up to tell a joke, probably a bad one. And that's when it whoosh, hit me from head to toe. I immediately fell back on the bed. momentarily sitting up soon after, and then collapsing back into a puddle with the thought of, my God, I love everything. Sorry to disappoint, but there's not a Penthouse Forum submission coming. From here on out, it's pretty much the definition of an anticlimax. The story ends as abruptly as it began this night. The idiot got the door unlocked. I managed to very dizzily climb into the top bunk and slept the sleep of a million angels, whatever that means. Sounded good in my head. I woke up at 6 a.m. feeling sparky and greeting with a grin, only to accidentally run into our tour guide sneaking out of the bus driver's room with disheveled hair and wearing the same dress she had on the day before on my way to the communal toilet. When we got out to the bus, I was wearing sunglasses. And Tim, who, after saying he was going to bed, had snuck back down to the bar and finished the bottle. He walks up to me and grabs, without saying a word, my sunglasses and peels them off of my face clumsily. Goes to put them on, pokes himself in the eye with the earpiece, manages to cram them on, and says, "Those were all really bad ideas." But have you ever woken up in a foreign country where you don't speak the language with an experience that will define you for the rest of your life? Because I have. Toastmaster.
Great speech, Jason. Best I can compliment it with is the fact that there was a bar in Tucson where I went to college named the Green Dolphin. We always called it the Sick Fish. They got slightly excited when I came in there on my 21st birthday and requested my free beer that you get on your 21st birthday, as I had been going there for 3.5 years already. They were slightly confused. Anyway, the next part of our meeting is going to be led by Leah Eisenberg. Leah, take it away.
Thank you, David Townley. Ready, everyone? Does your current car have a name? And if so, what is your car's name? Leaf?
This is going to be a very short 2-minute speech because no, my current car doesn't have a name. However, my first car, a 1979 Datsun 410 hatchback, barely 2 years older than me, no, younger than me, did have a name. I named her Bertha. She was an old car, and I was a very, very bad owner because I drove that car into the ground. You know how when you drive for a period of time in the same vehicle, that car tends to get a sweet spot on the accelerator? This was in rural Arkansas, and my sweet spot was around 70 miles an hour. You know how a manual stick shift feels really secure in place when you put it in gear and you let the clutch off? Mine did not. It wobbled to and fro like it was nothing. and I was of the habit to drive with one hand on the wheel and one hand on the stick shift. I recall one day driving home from school, giving a ride home to two of my classmates, one of whom was pregnant, and doing 70 miles an hour down the highway, holding the stick shift in fourth gear, when the friend of mine looks down and says, "Leaf, are you doing 70 in second gear?" And I swear that woman almost had her baby right then and there. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Lee. I have to admit, I don't know the thing with the manual. My mother tried teaching me how to drive a stick shift a couple winters, so we wouldn't overheat in the car. And let's just say this car that's apparently impossible to stall, I stalled probably over a dozen times. Never made it out of the parking lot. So if I get stuck in the middle of nowhere and there's only a stick shift, I am doomed. If I was in a horror movie, I would die because I'm not getting anywhere. The best I could do was lock the doors. Okay, next. If you were a wrestler, what would be your entrance theme song? David Townley?
It's an interesting thought about wrestling. In the fact that in my entire life, I've only been in 2 fights. Actually, technically, both of them I won. Neither one had anything to do with wrestling. First one, I was in the 7th grade, and the guy was being a bully and pushing me, so I turned around and gave him a knockout blow to the eye. He went away crying and didn't bother me for the rest of the 2 years while we were in Okinawa. The other time was later on when I was a freshman in high school with basically the same results. From that experience, I would think that my wrestling name would be something to do with idiotic wimp that gets away with stuff. I don't know if there is really such a song, but that's what I would make it say. Leah?
Thank you, David Townley. What food do you think is underrated or underappreciated? Dave Hall.
If I heard that question correctly, it was about food, which is one of my favorite topics, especially when you have 6 children, because it's very difficult at times to make it to the kitchen before they've emptied everything out. I was raised in a family of 6 kids, and we never saw the chocolate. We'd go to the store, they'd get put in the basket, we would get home, and my mom would hide it somewhere in the house because she knew us kids would eat all of it. Well, I'm proud to say that my wife now does the exact same thing. That when we get home, she's learned that the kids are going to eat it all, so she hides it in her room. So every once in a while, I'll go sneaking into her room if I'm wanting some chocolate and looking in the holes. The other thing I find in there is money. She also hides money, so sometimes I get money, sometimes I get chocolate. But if I were to look at the food that is least overrated, I would say that it definitely has to be chocolate milk. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Dave. No, I can imagine what that make kids just candy not making it back to the house. Next, what is your opinion on pumpkin spice mania? Renee?
Pumpkin spice mania. I don't really follow trends that much. So I have not jumped on the pumpkin spice extravaganza. It's not something that appeals to me because pumpkin, I have sort of tasted pumpkin pie. It did not appeal to me. Therefore, I sort of equate everything to do with pumpkins in that same fashion. Cinnamon is often, or nutmeg and nutmeg are often used in those same ingredients, whether it's a pie or a coffee. So, and I have to say that cinnamon in baking products does not appeal to me either. It's not really something that it's not my go-to. I like the colors. It feels very festive to me whenever they speak of pumpkin spice now being at your Starbucks or at Wendy's or just about any other place that you could go to. They jump on that same bandwagon. It's exciting for the time of the year, but to actually take part, I'm not so fond. Back to you, Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Renee. To admit, I mostly ignore it as well and go, oh yes, it's that fall thing that occurs. This next comment or question requires a little bit of a forwarding statement in which koalas, they're not the smartest animals. And so, such as if you take the leaves off the branch, the eucalyptus leaves that they eat normally, and put it on the ground, they can't figure out, since it's not on the branch, they can't understand that it's the same thing. So my question is, describe your best or most memorable koala and eucalyptus-like moment. Bradley? Bradley, you're still muted.
An ingenious question, Leah, and I hope that Reggie Cunningham does it justice when he answers it. As to the more important question of cars and their names, I will offer this. Circa 1990, I bought at auction a 1969 Lincoln with suicide doors, the kind that open backwards. I named her Lucille. Why? Because she reminded me of a kind of aging burlesque dancer who somehow hung on to a considerable measure of dignity, notwithstanding her profession. Indeed, a friend of mine, one night when we went out for drinks, said, you know, my husband told me about this car you'd bought, and I have a present. And she whipped out of a bag a garter and hung it ceremoniously from the mirror. I liked Lucille. What I really liked most of all is how you'd glide up to a corner and the hood ornament would arrive at the intersection a full 15 seconds before I, the driver, would get to the intersection. Somehow, the car had even more class. I liked the color also. At first, I thought it was black, but then when I got her into the sunshine, it was a kind of strange, extremely dark, greenish, bluish, strange-ish color. It looked like a U.S. Air Force Brigadier General was arriving when she showed up. I think it might have been Dave Townley's old car from Air Force days. I miss Lucille. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Bradley. Next, my Roomba is scared of thunderstorms. Julie?
My Roomba is scared of thunderstorms, not scared of cats or sharks or dirt. And there's where I'm going to stop with what my Roomba is scared of. Roombas are not terribly effective. They're perpetually in motion, except when charging, but don't necessarily do such a great job. I have no idea where I'm going with this, and I am obviously out of practice. Back to you, Leah.
Thank you, Julie. I have to admit that some of these questions were like, when I need funny stuff, and when, okay, what are the funniest things that people randomly said on Tumblr? And I end up reading a funny story about someone's Roomba detaching itself from its porch in the middle of a thunderstorm and going towards the person, the owner. So it's the only thing I could think of with that. Lastly, but not least, review any product of your choice in the most absurd way possible. Reginald?
Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master. I have this amazing dirt sucker. It doesn't really vacuum, it inhales. It's got this long, whiny string attached to it, which gives it some type of power. At least it did until my daughter ran across it several times. It no longer has quite as much power since it is now frayed. Therefore, she no longer sucks the dust off the floor. I wonder if it's time to replace the dust sucker. But alas, I am too cheap to invest in a Roomba. Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Reginald. Now we do have an old vacuum cleaner. You have to make sure you're pushing it forward in the correct way for it to actually work. Otherwise, you're just pulling around pretty much a mass of plastic. Okay, and that concludes the table topics portion of the evening. Dave Hall, how did everyone do on time?
The only person that was not within time was Julie, and had she explained what a Roomba was so I knew what it was, you could have filled up that extra 14 seconds. So.
Okay, I think she qualified. You have 30 seconds of leeway on the other side, so she did qualify. Okay, it's fine. We often forget about that. So, in a private message in chat, send the name of the person you thought dealt with the question the best, who gave the best speech. It's who do you think handled the situation with the most? And now I pass the meeting back over to the Toastmaster of the evening, David Townley.
Thank you, Leah. I am going to turn the meeting over to our general evaluator, Mr. Bradley Harris. We'll find out how well we've done today.
Thanks, Dave. And the general evaluator will turn things over to the specific evaluator. And Leah Eisenberg, would you kindly limn for us the virtues, successes, joys, and sins of Jason's speech?
Thank you, Bradley Harris. I apologize, I can't help it. It is raining where I am at the time, so if you hear weird background noise, that's what it is. Jason, I think I have benefited from hearing this story before from you while talking Yeah, it was after a D&D session, we were talking about stuff. And so it gave me the opportunity, since I knew where things were going, to listen and how you presented stuff. It made, since I wasn't, while I was still following the story, I could think of, okay, how is he going to present this in the form of a speech? In a way, it allow me to objectively listen to it in a way. But I'll start with the general evaluation points. Clarity, nice and clear, easily understood, good job with eye contact, made sure you were staring exactly at the camera, but not in a, I will jump through this camera sort of way, which is nice. Nice amount of audience awareness. We were very comfortable with us. It was, in terms of interest, it was a nice, well, engaging and interesting speech. Now I'll move on to humor. This had obvious humor and an underlying message in the speech, such as just pushing a little bit farther, looking at it, what will happen if you are caught. It's the whole thing. It's like, oh, he got away with this. Oh, what next is he going to get away with? Oh, he really looked out of this. Next, with gestures. We got a few good gestures in, well, no flailings. The ones you used were well done, such as your friend taking your glasses off, messing up, smashing the glasses on his face. Just the hand motions. The ones, like I said, the ones you used fit well with your speech. There was no unnecessary movement. I think I saw some little bit of movement at the bottom of the screen once, but that's pretty good for a speech. Now, onto the thing that you wanted me to look at was the rate in which you presented things. For the most part, it worked well. Timing, but a few times, I think a little bit more of a pause before the punchline of the statement came through, such as, should wrote down examples, but we needed like a little bit more of a delay. Not massive one, such as, I think you gave like a second or two delay. In a way, the drawing out of the pause adds more to the joke itself. I will, of course, remember what my exact comment as soon as I finish providing your evaluation. But besides the few times in which you needed a little bit more of a pause on your joke, everything flowed properly. It was nice pause, nice sort of attention, and I did enjoy the voices, especially with the adults that came with you guys to make sure no one was up to no good.
The rusty door hinge.
Rusty door hinge. I also really like that descriptive language there. The voices just gave us a sort of mental image of everything that was going on. And I am looking forward to your next speech and just for future tales that you will present to us. And now I pass the meeting back over to the General Evaluator, Bradley Harris.
Thanks, Leah. And Dave, did our evaluator qualify?
Yes, yes, she did. 325.